Before this man even got married, he knew exactly what he wanted to do with his children. And then he told the woman he wanted to marry, and she said, yes, let's do it. Then they got married. And then they raised 2 girls to be grandmasters. Hello everyone, my name is Modupe, and today we'll be talking about investing for your children. Today we'll be talking about planning for your children's future. We've already established that the best asset everybody has is time. And your kids have time in spades because they're just beginning their lives. The best gift you can give your children is to help them maximize the time that they have so that they can actually build wealth a lot earlier than most of us got the opportunity to. If you don't have kids yet and you plan to have some in future, this is still relevant. It's okay for you to know what your options are in the UK in particular. Now, if you don't plan to have any kids, feel free to share this video with someone that has kids. The earlier you start investing for your children, the better. It's never too early. Because something your children have that you don't have as much is time. As a matter of fact, if you know someone that just has kids today, the best thing you can give them is maybe a Junior SIPP account. And the interesting thing is this, even small, irregular contributions to that account will still have a long, outsized impact over time because they still have decades. Imagine a baby today, before they even reach 18, they still have over 15 years of investing potential and they haven't even started adulthood. Not to now talk of, okay, if you invest for them today, it grows till they're 18 and then they take over that investment and continue to invest till they're in their 30s. A child like that would have had over 30 years of investing. Even if it is small money you're contributing regularly, over a 30-year period, that child might never need to be stuck in a 9-to-5. So it's not like this will make them rich, but it gives them options and it increases their chances of early financial independence. It also reduces the pressure on you because I don't know if you've heard this phrase, failure to launch. You do have some scenarios where some adult kids just struggle to leave the nest. They try to get jobs, they try to move into society, and they just struggle to leave their parents. Such a child, if you had helped them to build an investing habit when they were underaged, by the time they are grown up, they will still be able to cope on their own without needing you all the time. So let's talk about the options that are available in the UK. The first option is a Junior SIPP. I love ISAs because they're tax efficient. So it's just like your regular ISA. The limit for a Junior SIPP though is £9,000 as of today. So every year there's a £9,000 allowance that you can put in a Junior SIPP for each child. The £9,000 allowance is separate from your own £20,000 allowance as an adult in the UK. So each child in the UK has a £9,000 allowance that you can invest in. That account is controlled by the parent. So you do the investing, but if you want to expose them to it and let them be doing the investing, it's fine. You should note though that once you've contributed money to a Junior ISA, you can't take it out until that child is 18. So unlike a regular ISA that you can take out your money anytime, a Junior ISA, once you put that money in, you can't withdraw it until the child is 18. But let's assume you decide that every year, in addition to your own ISA allowance of 20,000, you will also max out on the child's Junior ISA. So imagine you do that for just 10 years. You put in £90,000 by the time that child is 10, and then you leave it. You can't withdraw that money for the next 8 years anyway. So if we assume that it continues to grow at roughly 7% per annum, and then the child takes that money at age 18, and then puts it into his own adult ISA by then, and lets it continue to grow till he's 29. By the time that child gets that money, it's almost 200k that they'll have in that account, even if you only invested for the first 10 years of the child's life. Imagine starting off at age 18 with £190,000 invested. They can leave it investing till they grow into their 30s. It sets them up, it gives them some peace of mind and relaxation. They know that last, if this employer is giving me stress, I can reach into my eyes and buy myself some time to find the job that I really like. Or they can decide, let me even go and start a business first. Maybe they want to do coding or AI or whatever. They can try their hands at a business. There's no pressure for them to get a job and get a job and get a job, right? Which is what has tied a lot of us into the careers that we have today. So you give your kids options with that kind of a move. Like your regular ISA, your junior ISA can also be invested in either cash, it can be stocks and shares, but you can use it for lifetime ISA. Now, the other thing is a junior SIPP. Now, we didn't discuss SIPPs in detail when we were talking pensions last week, but a SIPP is a self-invested personal pension. And basically what that is as opposed to a workplace pension that we discussed last week, where you are contributing to it pre-tax from your salary and your employer is matching your contribution, usually you open a SIPP outside your workplace and you contribute to it with whatever money you have, meaning they might have taxed that money already, but you still contribute to that pension plan. But then you can get the taxes back. So a SIPP operates very similar to workplace pensions, right? The only difference is workplace pensions, your contribution is taken before tax, so you don't need to worry about that. A SIPP, the contribution is taken after you've already paid tax because you're the one contributing by yourself. So your provider would refund you, they'll reimburse you, they'll get that money from HMRC. So if you want to contribute to £100, for instance, you need to pay £80. The total in your account will be £100. But then, if you're a higher rate taxpayer, meaning you actually paid 40% tax on that money, not 20%, then you need to do a self-assessment at the end of the year. And then HMRC would pay you back the additional 20% that the SIPP provider wouldn't have paid you. So if you contribute, say, £10,000 to your SIPP in a year, and you are in a higher tax band, when you make that contribution, the SIPP provider usually would compensate you with the tax that they assume you paid on that money because you are paying it after tax. So you're taking your salary that has already been taxed and you are taking out of that and putting it into a SIPP. So the SIPP provider would compensate you immediately. They will get their money back from HMRC, so they compensate you immediately. But if you're in a higher tax band, you can still do a self-assessment at the end of the year and collect the extra 20% because the SIPP provider assumes you paid 20% tax. It assumes you are in the lower tax band. So they compensate you with 20% of whatever you contribute into the SIPP. But then, if you're in a higher tax band, you can still claim the additional 20% back from HMRC. Interestingly enough, Invest Engine also allows you to open SIPP accounts. So if you want to try them out, you can. Now, a junior SIPP is also a self-invested personal pension, but it's for your kids. A junior SIPP operates similar to a regular SIPP, but the difference is you have a cap on how much you can contribute each year. Again, once you contribute the money, the government adds 20% back. They assume you pay 20% tax on that money, so they refund you. If you're a higher rate taxpayer, you can again do your self-assessment at the end of the year. But the difference here is the money is for your child. So it's only when that child gets to the retirement age that they can withdraw that cash. A regular SIPP, you can withdraw the investments when you get to your retirement age, which is currently 55, but it's going to go up to 57 soon, in another couple of years. So probably by the time you're retiring, unless you're close to your 50s now, it will be 57. So you can access your SIPP from your retirement age, but a junior SIPP, that child can only access that money when they get to their retirement age. So basically, you've invested that money for the entire life of that child. Not the entire life, but like for all their working life and all their childhood and everything. So imagine if you started paying into your pensions from childhood and then you get it at age 55 or 57. It's better than any state pension that we're trying to catch up with. Now, something we should mention about your own SIPP is it has a maximum you can contribute each year, similar to workplace pensions, because your workplace pensions, the maximum you can contribute each year, tax-free, is £60,000. It's the same thing with your SIPP, but if you earn less than £60,000, then the maximum you can contribute is 100% of what you earn. You can't contribute more than what you earn. So even if you get a windfall of money, someone dashes you £100,000 and you want to put it in your pensions, if you are earning less than £60,000, the maximum you can put is capped at what you earn per annum. Because the same rule applies to your workplace pensions. So those are the two options that I would explore for my kids when I have kids. Junior ISA that they can access from age 18 and a junior SIPP that they can access when they retire. As usual, I prioritize the junior ISA. The reason the SIPP is attractive is because of the tax benefits, right? Because the junior ISA, you would have still paid tax on the money you are investing. It's just that when it grows, you don't pay any tax on the growth. A junior SIP, you don't pay tax on the money you're investing, but that money is locked until the child is 57 or whatever their retirement age by the time they are retiring. So that's the difference between the two. So they both have their pros and cons. If it's money that you want them to be able to access, maybe when they are 20, then a junior ISA would probably be better for that. But if it is money that you just want to lock down and you want to maximize the tax benefits, then a junior SIP will be better for that. But I tend to prefer junior ISAs because junior ISAs have higher limits and then you can access the money earlier. A junior SIP has a lower limit, though the government also contributes to it, but the maximum the government contributes to a junior SIP each year is about £720, and the maximum you can contribute is about 2,880. The way that works is by the time you add the 2,880 plus the 720 that the government will contribute on top, which is 20%, everything adds up to about 3,006, which is the maximum really that you can put in a SIP each year. So the real maximum you can put in a SIP each year is 3,006, but you would only contribute 2,880, and then the government will contribute 720 into that junior SIP. Now, the third way you can invest in your children's financial future, and this, in my view, is the most important one, is in their education. And when I say education, not just in terms of going to school, but education in terms of teaching them about building wealth and about developing skills. You can send your kids to the best schools, right? But I like to tell people I went to public schools in Nigeria. All my education, all of it, from nursery school to primary school to secondary school to university, all of it was in not just in public schools. Some of those schools were state public schools. They weren't even federal government public schools. All right. So in terms of formal education, it was as basic as it gets. They were good schools. My parents always made sure they picked the best schools they could afford, but they were public schools. There was no private tuition, there were no computers in my class, nothing like that. Yet, where I think I got the bulk of my education was mostly from the environment where I grew up, right? So my dad was a university lecturer, so we grew up in university campus. And I would interact a lot with other kids of lecturers, other professors' kids. So it was those interactions that actually shaped a lot of my developmental years. And then also being exposed to books, I read a lot as a kid. Oh my God, I loved stories. So I think exposing your kids to the right type of influence, we have the internet today, but guide them to the right kind of influence, guide them to material. And kids are very open. Whatever you teach them is what they'll be exposed to until they get to school. But those early years are very important in shaping their perspective, because when they do go to school and they start to receive all these other external inputs, it's those early things that you've taught them that more or less define how they would incorporate the new data into their mental framework. So formal education is good, but informal is more important. Teach your kids about money. All these things that you are just learning today, let them learn it from childhood. There are books that are made for kids that teach them about investing, about saving. You can break down these principles in the ways that would work for your kids. What we're teaching here, it's not rocket science, right? A child can understand how to save. They can understand how to budget. They can understand that, okay, if grandma gives me £10, I can spend £1 on ice cream. I can give £1 in church. I can give £1 to the beggar that we see at the train station. I can save £1 in my account. I can save £1 in my junior ISA that you've taught them about. That's £5. I can save another £1 in my junior SIP that you've also told them about. I can use £1 to get an Audible account where I can access a book that I want to read. So you can teach them budgeting, even from a young age. Worst case scenario, you use it to teach them how to count. And something else is exposing your kids to money. Like, you open this junior SIP, you open this junior ISA, but if you just let the money grow and you give it to your kids without training them about money beforehand, it can actually do more harm than good. What you want is for them to already have internalized all these principles that we are discussing, so that by the time they actually have access to that money, they know exactly what they will use it for. If it's a very conservative child, I know I'm going to invest this thing in footsie or world and forget about it for the next 10 years. If it is someone that already has entrepreneurial ideas, it will be like, okay, I know I will take half of this money and use it for my business, or 20% of the money and use it for my business. The rest I will lock up as a rainy day fund in my own personal ISA. So you want them to already know exactly what they will use that money for. Not that the money will just show up in their account and they're like, oh, I'm eating today, let me go and party. No. Giving children money without context of how to spend it can be very risky. Again, you build these skills because managing your own money is a skill. It's a life skill. It's the same way you teach them how to cook. You teach them how to ride a bicycle. Teach them how to manage money. Use small money. The money that their grandparent gives them, ask them, how will you use this money? Based off of what I've taught you, how should you use this money? Let them figure it out for themselves, but also guide them. And over time, they start to learn the pros and cons. Expose them to stock market. Let them start buying shares and seeing the value of their money grow over time. And going through the emotional, oh, the value of my stocks have come down. What's going on, mommy? Let them be exposed to all that early when it is safe. When if their portfolio goes from £10 to £0, they will not die, right? Let them be exposed to that early, right? Before they have real concerns to deal with. There's some individuals that I've often respected the way they raise their kids. I don't know their personal lives in detail, but I love what their children became. And these are also celebrities, right? But the interesting thing is if you trace it all back, you will find out it was one parent that just decided to focus on that child. One of my favorite examples is Polgar, because before this man even got married, he knew exactly what he wanted to do with his children. And then he told the woman he wanted to marry and she said, yes, let's do it. Then they got married. And then they raised 2 girls to be grandmasters because they wanted to show that you can train a child to be anything. So they used their own children as case study. And from childhood, they were teaching them about chess. Their entire lives were about chess. So by the time they were 10, they were already playing at advanced levels. Of course, it's whatever you teach a child that they eventually turn into. I personally feel that we overestimate the importance of giving children the choice to choose their careers, because what do I know about my career or career in general? Choose one for them. If they now want to change later on, fine, they can change. But you've already picked one and they've gone into it, they become good at it. Because they will become good at it by the time they're exposed to it very early. But that's just my own viewpoint. I may be wrong. Another story that I love is the Jackson 5. Look at all those kids. It was just their father insisting. I know Michael Jackson is a controversial figure, but there's nothing controversial about his talent. He was skilled. And it didn't come from day one. It came from being drills as a child. Drills, daily drills. It was a bit much because the man grew up and was a bit messed up, but the fact that his parents started early. I think Polgar is a more balanced example. But then you also have someone like Tiger Woods. Again, it was his dad that said, oh, this boy, you will learn this game. This is our ticket out of poverty. Beyonce too. This Beyonce Bayhive that we are seeing today, it was her dad with his daughters. He exposed them to singing. They would go to church. They joined choir at very young ages. They were singing. The Williams sisters, same thing. It was their dad. It was like, these girls, you will learn this tennis by force. So you see all these celebrities and success stories today. They all started very early. Even if you don't want your kids to go and become a celebrity, it's fine. But at least let them learn about money very early so that by the time they are in their 20s, they know a lot more than some grown-ups that we have around us today. And then they can manage their lives better. Now, feel free to take all these things I'm saying with a pinch of salt. I don't have any kids yet. But these are just things I wish someone had done for me when I was very young. I mean, I appreciate what my parents did for me. They gave what they knew. But since we know more and we know better now, we should even give more to our kids. So exercise for today is simple. If you have children, you need to open a Junior ISA or a Junior SIPP. Matter of fact, just open it. You don't have to put money there now. Open the two. Right? Don't worry. You can just be dropping £10, £20. Just be dropping money into accounts. You don't have to put a lot of money there. They're not going to need that money till they're 18. For the Junior ISA. And for the Junior SIPP, they can't even access that one until they're in their 50s or 60s. So just be dropping small change there. Someone gives them money, ask them, do you want to put this money in your ISA? Right? Let them be seeing the account balance. Let them feel like, yes, I have a stake in this. It's my money and it's growing. I'm going to get it when I'm 18. So open that account. Get that ball rolling. If you can, decide how much you can contribute, even if it's a small amount, but decide an amount that you can contribute every month into those accounts. You can be doing 20 pounds into 2 accounts. So that's every month, 40 pounds. How much is 40 pounds? Is the minimum that you can use to buy something on Amazon Fresh. Is nothing. Be putting it there every month. If you can increase it, increase it. Let your kids meet something. Let them be seeing that money. I can assure you, by the time they are 10 or 12, they themselves will be putting money there. They will be taking out of their pocket money and putting it there. Because it's exciting, right? It's fun to do, to see your own assets grow over time. So do that. Don't you wish someone had done that for you? Do it for your kids. Leave a comment below if you've opened a junior ISA or a junior SIPP for your kids. And if you haven't, leave a comment and let us know why. I'll see you then.